Let's fight, folks. A very good evening to each and every one of you, wherever you're joining us from this evening. Welcome in the ring. Smash that emoji button, folks. Share the live. Partner with us as well. It's a very sad evening as we come on. Very, very sad news nationally. The flags, I think, at the office of the president, at least at the campaign Ghana, the Ghana Defense Force headquarters, flies at half staff, half mast tonight. Good to have each and every one of you on the live. We've got lots to share with you. What's happening with our soldiers and that helicopter that went down on the or in the area with the our western border. We have information. Certainly, I'm certain that you guys have heard some of it by now, folks. We have some on the Venezuelan front as well. The Ghana-Venezuela border controversy and that referendum. Have some information on that front. Wherever you're joining us from tonight, ensure that you share the live for us. Smash that emoji button as well, folks. Share, that others get valid and incredible information as well. Good to have each and every one of you on the live tonight. And we're going to do exactly that. We are going to make sure that we share the live as well, folks, because we want as many persons as possible to get valid and credible information. You know, the information is very sensitive in other places. Very sensitive in other places. We try to give as much here as we can and do so very liberally. Diana, good to have you. Leon Logan, good to have you as well. And all the other folks joining us tonight. Good to have each and every one of you on the live. Brenda Bradford, we see you there. Rena Cummins, we see you there as well. Pace and Power. Good to see each and every one of you joining us this evening, good folks. Winston Kilkenny, Volme Wilson, we see you there as well. Good folks, share the live for us. Smash that emoji button. The good poet says, Dorrit David, never seek to know for whom the bell tolls. Tolls for thee, tolls for all of us, one day or the next. Good folks, and we're just happy that each and every one of you with us this evening, folks. We are tremendously happy. We trust that you guys have had a good day. Kyle Jacobs and all the other folks who are joining us tonight. We trust that you guys are well wherever you are joining us from. And as we said, as we come on tonight, very, very sad news now that that downed chopper went missing in around or close to our western borders with Venezuela. With 7 on board, we know now, good folks, that we lost 5 of them today. We lost 5 of them as the search and rescue operation proceeded in that area. We learned that we lost 5 patriots. We lost today, folks. What a sad time. Apologies there. What a sad time it is for our country. And we learned that among those who perished in the crash, folks, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Charles, he was the pilot. There, Gary Beaton, Colonel Michael Shaoud. We lost Lieutenant Colonel Sam Welcome, who was my batchmate at the University of Guyana. We studied communication together. We also lost Staff Sergeant Jason Can today. 5 brave souls we lost, and our thoughts and prayers go out to their family. Of course, we know that 2 of those 7 were found alive, and we hope that they get back to the safety of Georgetown and good medical care. Folks, our thoughts and prayers with our brave soldiers, our men and women on the border tonight, and elsewhere, in all the services, in the disciplined services in this country. Our thoughts and prayers go out to all of them tonight. As I said, we lost 5 of the 7 persons who went down in that chopper, folks. The leader of the opposition made a statement a short time ago, I think sharing the sentiments of not only the parliamentary opposition, but all of us as Guyanese. Take a listen to some of what the leader of the opposition, Member of Parliament, Mr. Aubrey Norton, said the transitioning of these 5 brave souls.
Guyana mourns the loss of 5 patriots. It is a sad day for all Guyanese. It is with deep sadness in our hearts and anguish in our souls that we learned that the missing GDF helicopter had crashed and 5 brave Guyanese souls perished. We extend our deepest condolences to the family of Lieutenant Colonel Michael Charles, commanding officer of the 1st Infantry Battalion, Colonel Michael Shahood, retired Brigadier Gary Beaton, Lieutenant Colonel Sean Welcome, and Staff Sergeant Jason Kant. We will forever honor these current and former Army officers as genuine and brave sons of the soil who gave dedicated service and their lives in defense of our dear homeland, Guyana. Yesterday, from the moment we heard of the missing helicopter, all Guyanese hoped and prayed for the best outcome for the entire crew. Alas, it was not to be. Their services to their country and to their fellow citizens were needed elsewhere. May their spirits rest in peace. May they continue to fight the good fight. We wish the surviving Army officers, Lieutenant Colonel Andy Michael Crawford and Corporal Dwayne Jackson, a full and speedy recovery. We share the mixed emotions of their families. Our thoughts and prayers also extend to you. We expect that the survivors and their families will have the full support of the Guyana Defense Force in particular and the government of Guyana in general as they seek to overcome the trauma associated with this accident. To the entire Guyana Defense Force Officer Corps and servicemen, we stand with you in this moment of bereavement. At this moment when our country is under threat from abroad, we know you are standing resolute and brave despite the loss of your comrades. Please be reassured of our support and the appreciation of the great sacrifice you continue to make to defend our territorial integrity and sovereignty. For that, we are eternally grateful. The parliamentary opposition expects that there will be a thorough investigation into the accident with the aim of ensuring the safety of our troops in the future. In this time of bereavement, all Guyanese have lost. As we mourn with the families and friends of the deceased, we say to them, may their souls rest in peace.
Yep, there you have it, folks. The leader of the opposition giving his sentiments there on the passing of these young men. By any measure, again, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Charles, the pilot of the helicopter that went down, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Shahood, retired Brigadier Gary Beaton, Lieutenant Colonel Sean Welcome, and Sergeant Jason Khan. They were the 5 souls who we lost today as a nation. As that helicopter went down, they said it's in close proximity, relatively close proximity, the Carao area there in the on our western border with Venezuela. And those who survived are named Corporal Dwayne Jackson and Lieutenant Andio Crawford. And we wish these 2 brave souls as well a speedy recovery, folks, as we try as Guyanese to make sense of this. We wait for a comprehensive investigation as well to understand what happened here, folks, and collectively trying to find the strength to move on. These are such uncertain times, folks. These are such uncertain times. And I think part of what the Chief of Staff, Omar Khan, said just last evening as he was asked his thoughts to the family I think rings through even now, speaking on how the best and bravest become soldiers in our country, and more or less saying that the families understand the risk, and so it's almost known that they got to be brave, and we all got to soldier on through this terrible time in our nation's history. You know, whether it's 20 dead in Mali or 5 dead here, folks. It's a tough time for this nation. It seems that we can't get a break. Seems we can't get a break, but we gotta soldier on. Listen to some of what the Chief of Staff, Omar Khan, said last evening as he was asked that question of his thoughts to family. Take a look, folks. Take a listen.
Let me deviate a bit and tell you, we are a different breed of people. When we wear this uniform, it brings a new meaning to life. The enlistment in any military is not a decision that anyone could make. As a matter of fact, this is the best decision that we could have made. There are 3 types of people for me as a military officer. Those who go through life not knowing what they're good at and never finding what they're good at, and they die. And then the second type, those who go through life and knowing the latter part of their lives what they're good at, but they did not get the time enough to develop on it. And then there are those who in the early stage of their life understand what they want and what they're best at. And those people, all of them fall in the category of being a soldier. We live our life to serve and to protect the country that we serve. And I'm confident that every officer and every soldier is in that category. For me to tell them something to convince them that everything is okay, I can do that, but I know they're already there.
Yep. Folks, you were listening there to the Chief of Staff, Omar Khan of the Ghana Defense Force, asked the question last night, his thoughts to the family members. You know, they were searching at that point. The search and rescue was on at that point, albeit suspended for the day, and then they went back out there. And this gruesome discovery that we lost 5 of our best, our bravest, our finest. Folks, the President Irfan Ali put out a statement earlier on this evening that reads in part, "My heart pains and drowns in sorrow at the tragic loss of some of our finest men in uniform. The scale of this loss to the family, our country, the GDF, and to me personally is immeasurable. My trusted friends and comrades, my brothers, how could this be?" The President asked. You loved your country above and beyond everything. Country and service were all that mattered to you. I observed with so much honor the pride you took in putting your uniform on. We became a family, bonded in service and brotherhood. I have experienced the love of all of you, and it's ripping my heart apart. Those are some of the words attributed to President Irfan Ali, and these were posted on his Facebook page, folks. A terrible time for our country. Uncertainty on the border end with the controversy with Venezuela, and now this, and all the other things we're grappling with, folks, as a country, internally, the elements we're battling externally as well. Very, very tense time for our country. Hold strain, Guyanese, wherever you're joining us from, at home and abroad. Hold strain. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. And as a great statesman once said, should this empire survive 1,000 years, let us say this was our finest hour. Hold strain, wherever you're joining us from tonight. Hold strain. You're in a border town, a border region. Hold strain. Hold strain. Hold strain, folks. Let's turn our attention to some of the other issues we're following as we're on the border front, folks. And it seems not a day goes by there isn't some escalation, some provocation coming from our Venezuelan brothers and sisters. You know, they put out a statement overnight saying how they met with our foreign affairs minister, and told him of the provocations that Guyana is bringing, the provocations that Guyana is causing. Folks, you live a long time, you will never see anything like this. Absolute madness. Absolute madness. The Americans told us today that they desire a peaceful and democratic hemisphere. And this was coming from no less than U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken when he telephoned the president of Guyana, Irfan Ali. Just today, the Americans desire a peaceful and democratic Western Hemisphere. Folks, the late great president Forbes Bottom says it's important not only to read what is on the line, but what is between the line as well. The Americans have said they desire a peaceful and democratic hemisphere. And during the course of the day, the leader of the opposition held a press conference and spoke to some issues happening in this region and talked a little bit about his desire to see the Foreign Affairs Ministry become more, perhaps return to its former glory. The Americans, folks, desire a peaceful and democratic hemisphere. Right? That's what they've said to us. Among other things, peaceful and democratic hemisphere, folks. And as I said, the leader of the opposition today in a press conference raised some of the issues that concerns all of us. And this issue of the Guyana-Venezuela border controversy. We believe strongly as Guyanese, these borders were settled since in 1899. Established since then. Final, perfect, complete. Punto final. Done with. That's our belief. Listen to the leader of the opposition.
The parliamentary opposition totally rejects the action taken by the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela to create an entity, the Integral Defense Zone, called Guyana Essequibo. This development is not only illegal and abhorrent, but has dangerous implications for the existing territorial controversy and represents a flouting of the recent decision of the International Court of Justice. Above all, this represents a major threat to peace and stability of the region. Against this background, we wish to reissue our call for the government of Guyana to do the following. 1, recapitalize the Guyana Defense Force to ensure it has the equipment and other resources to defend the territorial integrity and sovereignty of our homeland. 2, deploy special envoys to key institutions and countries of the world to explain the justness of our position and to re-emphasize our commitment to a peaceful resolution to the controversy. 3, establish a high-level border security commission comprising the parliamentary opposition, other key political and civil society stakeholders, as well as experts in international law, national security, and diplomacy. 4, take measures to curb the further influx of Venezuelan migrants into Essequibo, noting that one of Venezuela's strategies seems to be to populate Essequibo with Venezuelans in pursuance of its spurious claim to our territory. 5, gather and share accurate information on the number, location, citizenship status of Venezuelan migrants currently in Guyana. Apart from the children of Guyanese who are entitled to become citizens of Guyana, there must be a halt of the issuance of birth certificates and national ID cards to Venezuelans. The government has either not heeded our advice or has moved in a half-hearted manner. Under Venezuela's escalating recklessness, the PPP government can no longer afford to act alone with uncertainty inadequacy, and hesitancy, there is need for a national approach to this crisis. With the new and dangerous moves by the desperate Maduro since the referendum, we call on the Guyana government to urgently lobby the international community to reject Venezuela's lawlessness, establishment of the purported state of Guayana Essequibo. The lobbying effort must be supported by a written aid memoir outlining the ICJ's ruling and Venezuela's violation of those rulings inter alia. The international community must be left in no doubt that the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela has embarked on an aggressive and destabilizing exercise which could have far-reaching repercussions across Latin America and the Caribbean. The government must urgently engage the domestic media and all patriotic Guyanese to reject Venezuela's purported establishment of the so-called Guyana Essequibo and continue to administer our Essequibo as we have been lawfully doing in the last 124 years. Essequibo is ours, and we must continue to issue licenses and protect Guyanese and other businesses in our Essequibo. Venezuela's claim to have the right to issue licenses to businesses in Essequibo must be rejected by Guyana, and a full-fledged campaign must be launched to maintain the status quo over Guyana, and Guyana's control over Essequibo. The parliamentary opposition support for this action is guaranteed. Guyana must deal with Venezuela as an adversary that is hell-bent on cheating us out of our territory that has been legally Guyana as a result of the arbitral award of 1899, which constitute a full and perfect settlement of the border between Guyana and Venezuela. We call on the people of Guyana to stand firm. We in the parliamentary opposition will continue to do all in our powers to defend our country's territorial integrity and sovereignty. The parliamentary opposition, our support to our armed forces, and to reassure them of our support. In addition, we call on the government to bring to fruition Article 33 of the Guyana Constitution, which states, and I quote, "It is the duty of every citizen to defend the state," unquote. The parliamentary opposition wishes to place on record our appreciation for the support of the international community and many political opposition parties in the Caribbean region that are openly in support of Guyana against Venezuela's spurious claim to our Essequibo. Need for a much stronger Ministry of Foreign Affairs and international cooperation. Despite the controversy between Guyana and Venezuela that exists for close to 60 years, our two countries typically enjoyed cordial relations. As far as we know, Guyana wants, Guyana wants it to remain that way, and the task at hand is to restore cordiality and civility to those relations. Our ability to conduct and maintain good relations with Venezuela was in large measure the result of diplomacy being used as our first line of defense and as an active instrument of peace and a positive tool of international economic and political change. It is a policy that Guyanese deserve to have as their principal defense instrument while preparing our army to defend our territorial integrity as a last resort. We also know that diplomacy worked to keep us safe over the years and to enable us to make and keep friends around the world. It was used to give Guyana full membership of the Organization of American States, when Venezuela denied its membership at independence. It allowed us to work with others in the Commonwealth and the non-aligned movement to help dismantle apartheid in South Africa and to help many Caribbean countries gain independence. It also helped us to inform countries around the world of our position on the territorial controversy with Venezuela, and to join other countries to solve a myriad of difficult global economic, political, and social problems. In other words, our diplomacy helped us to maintain influence inside and outside of our region that proved useful when our territorial integrity was under threat. As we examine our current crisis, that policy and strategy seems to be a shadow of what it used to be. Our foreign service is not as proactive, vibrant, and forward-looking as it once was. Its efficacy seems to have fallen apart. We need to restore it to prevent Venezuela from further advancing its illegal and partisan designs on our territory. We need a robust and sincere approach to rebuilding our diplomatic capabilities in pursuance of the protection of our territorial integrity and sovereignty. The main function of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is to protect the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Guyana from neighbors that seek to bully us. The role of advancing our diplomatic interests appears to have been taken over by another agency which does not and cannot dedicate the time and effort required to achieve effective diplomatic outcomes. The parliamentary opposition wishes to suggest that it is insufficient for the president and one or two public officials to prosecute Guyana's foreign policy. Though foreign policy is his preserve, and we don't doubt that, the stakes are too high and dangers too great for this nation to rely on the president alone to carry the messages of concern about the threats and dangers that Guyana faces. Our message of goodwill to all must come from many quarters, and it is logical to expect this country's diplomatic service to be at the forefront of such work. The foregoing is obvious, given that Guyana has diplomatic relations with over 150 countries, and there is not enough time for the president to engage leaders of those countries on all our diplomatic interests. The government needs to invest in strengthening Guyana's diplomatic service and empowering it to constantly inform the world about our territorial rights, as well as our domestic interests and investment opportunities. The government needs to tap into all the diplomatic skills available to it and utilize it to pursue our case. In the specific case of the existential threat, the parliament.
Leader of the opposition, Mr. Aubrey Norton, said today during his press conference on this issue of the Guyana-Venezuela border controversy and several ways in which the parliamentary opposition, the opposition in Guyana and government could be working hand in hand, yet feeling very marginalized and stymied, kept on the periphery and the outskirts of dealing as a collective on this issue. We talk oneness, but we're not proceeding really in oneness on this issue. The government has the full support of the parliamentary opposition. Prosecuting this matter on our territorial sovereignty, but more can be had and more could be done. But we have a government that keeps believing that all of the answers reside with them. We're happy to see today the Southern Command lending assistance to Guyana in conducting flight operations in Guyana's airspace, and saying that this exercise is building on routine engagement and operation to enhance security partnership between Guyana and the United States of America's Southern Command. And we are happy. This is the kind of cooperation we need. You know, not people who were unwilling like Mayor Motley and Prime Minister Keith Rowley and Prime Minister Mayor Motley in Barbados and Dr. Keith Rowley there in Trinidad, unwilling to take a definitive position. There's no sitting on the fence. And we're happy with our U.S. partners who have come first, then chinks in. And we're conducting flights with their counterparts in Guyana's airspace during the course of today. And we're looking to see this continue. And I believe they were lending some assistance to with the Guyana Defense Force in locating our servicemen. Thank you. That is the kind of cooperation. That's the kind of partnership that we need. People say there's a brother and stab you in your back. We are your brothers in CARICOM and trying to slit our throats. We need better cooperation than we're having. Look at what else we're seeing. The UN is telling us that the International Court of Justice decision telling Venezuela and Guyana, don't alter this situation. Don't exacerbate it. You see? That decision coming down from the ICJ a couple of days ago, it seemed like a lifetime ago. So much has happened since. That decision is going to the Security Council of the United Nations for their consideration on these actions from Venezuela. And let's hope they can bring the Venezuelans to their senses, because they're acting very rationally, saying a lot of irrational things. So one gets the impression like the elevator isn't reaching the top floor at all. And so we are happy to see that the High Command there at the United Nations pushing this matter before the Security Council for its consideration and a decision. We want, like our neighbors, like our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, -2, to remain, minus a couple. This region must remain a zone of peace. We come in peace, but some folks don't want us to live in peace. And that's just some of what we're seeing, folks. That's to say, that's just some of what's operating out there, and that we have to contend with. So again, we're very happy to see this matter receiving the attention internationally that it needs before this very, very important body, the United Nations Security Council. And while that is happening, folks, those of you who are people of faith, we better keep praying for this country. Cheryl Pancham, Claude Bobby Lewis, Faye and Roxy, Denise and Cece and Brandes. We better keep praying for this beautiful country of ours, that we will remain a zone of peace in this region and for this region. And for this region, I want to thank especially the Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Antonio Guterres. I think they should give him another term. Make a special consideration. Give him another term. Some folks might be so pushy, playing to a lot of interest currently. Playing to a lot of interest. So what we're seeing, folks, and we're very, very thankful for the way the matter is moving there. Our UK counterparts told us today, that Venezuelans' actions unjustified. United Kingdom, Great Britain, Venezuela's actions are unjustified. The light one, Daphne Aaron, Chin Sing Henry, unjustified Waveney Doris, Romel Gonzalez, who shared their life tonight. I want as many folks to get valid, credible information and see out there the kind of support that we have on this issue. See the kind of support we have. Unjustified actions. And we know this is true. We know this is true. This is what brothers look like. When people say it's your brother, but they don't want to come to your defense. They don't want to be definitive as your sister. But you're dilly-dallying and shilly-shallying, like Prime Minister Mia Mottley and like Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley. Barbados and Trinidad. Shilly-shallying and dilly-dallying. This is what a definitive statement looks like. Venezuela actions are unjustified. Signed, sealed, and delivered since 1899. The Arbitral Award. Perfect, complete, and final. What else you want? So thank you, Great Britain, for standing up and for being definitive on this matter. Thank you. You could have said since 1966, you're done with we big stand up on your own 2 feet. And those we've been walking with since then, still wobbly, especially on this issue. Very wobbly on this issue, but the United Kingdom said today, definitively, friends and brothers around the world, the actions of Venezuela are unjustified. They went on to say they're very concerned by recent steps taken by Venezuela in its territorial dispute with Guyana. Alvin Fraser, Shondell Jarrett, John Walcott, Wendy Stewart, Eva Mattis Garnett, Shireen Baines, Andrea Jarvis, unjustified. I'm happy that the United Kingdom, Great Britain, concerned by this recent steps, the marked steps and missteps by Venezuela in its territorial dispute with us, this controversy. Edel Rodney, folks of faith, every day this matter seems to, the ante is raised a little bit more. We got to do a part 2. Folks, hold strain, Guyanese brothers and sisters, hold strain. As sure as the night must bring the dawn. Isn't that what the Calypso then said? Gypsy, this life of ours will still go on. Because even though the Venezuelans connive, they spin the webs of strife, we're going to stay alive. You know why? The Calypsonian said it best. We were born to survive. That's what we're going to do. Born to survive. Not a blade of grass. Not one blue sake. None of it. Good folks. Look what else we're following tonight on this issue. Here's a brother from an unlikely place. Brazil, folks. Telling Mercosur, that South American organization, trade organization, bilateral cooperation organization, Mercosur, speak Mercosur. Now it's time to speak. You know, these organizations got all kind of lofty ideas. Oh, we can do X and Y and Z. But in times like these, you know who your real friends are. And Lula da Silva, a South American statesman, he says, speak Mercosur. Urging Mercosur to speak out. And against defiant Maduro. Speak out. Mercosur, why are you going quiet? Mercosur, speak out. Rowley, speak out. Mayor Motley, encouraging this South American trade bloc to speak out against defiant Maduro there in Venezuela. Now I can stand up next to Lula Ignacio da Silva. Anybody standing with us, we got to stand with them. And I know some of you wish we'd gotten some support from here and this person is going to be definitive. At least we're seeing who is who throughout this whole protracted period of tension that we have. We've seen exactly who is who. Folks, share the live for us. Wherever you're joining us from, let's bring more folks up to date with where we are on this issue, good folks. Let's bring others up to date on where we are. Look what else we're following. Look what else we're following, good folks, as we examine this issue. Look what else we're following. CARICOM. CARICOM, folks. That institution that is headquartered in Georgetown here. CARICOM. They're going to be meeting tomorrow for an emergency meeting. They're going to be meeting tomorrow. And they're going to be discussing the latest provocative, egregious actions against Guyana by Venezuela. That's what this meeting is going to be focused on. I want to be a fly in the wall. I want to know what Rowley and what Mayor are going to say tomorrow. I want to know what they're going to say tomorrow. Because their action and inaction, their words and omissions, provocative to me. There, I've said it. So I'd like to be a fly on the wall at this meeting of CARICOM tomorrow to hear some of what they're going to discuss. And how they're going to dilly-dally and shilly-shally and dance between the raindrops. That's what I'm going to be looking for. Looking forward to hear the outcome of this meeting of CARICOM. I would have hoped they would have moved at a little more pace, a little more alacrity. But it is what it is. I'm happy they're meeting. Tomorrow, folks, is the 8th day of December already. The 8th day. And a lot has happened since the referendum. A lot has happened since then. A lot of madness out of Caracas, if you ask the rest of us. But I'm happy to see CARICOM's meeting tomorrow. And I hope they tell us very early what are some of the outcomes of this meeting. Don't just meet. We have a learning, but we never come into the knowledge of the truth. Never come into it. Never come into it. So we're delighted to see this meeting happening. We want to know very quickly what are the outcomes. Nobody can say this one out here, though. You got to know where you are. Right? You've got to know where you're standing. All the dancing Barbados doing and Trinidad, Mayor Motley and Dr. Keith Rowley, it can come to an end. It's going to come to an end, folks. Look what else we're following on this issue. Vice President Jack Dio, back from his sojourn in Dubai, quite a few days, he told a press conference today, ignore Maduro's ultimatum. Who in Essequibo wants Maduro leadership? Maduro can't even feed his own people. Ignore him. Nobody in Essequibo lining up for no ID cards from Maduro. Nobody's lining up, waiting with bated breath for Maduro to come riding in like some knight in shining armor. Charity begins at home. You can't even be nice to the people in your own house. He wants to jail dissenters, members of the opposition who don't agree with this whole referendum nonsense. If you can do it to your own, how strangers will fare. So Vice President Barjagli was out there today saying, ignore the madness. Somebody say, want to ignore him himself. Ignore. Take a look, folks. Take a listen to what the Vice President said.
When he announced these measures, when he announced the several measures on the 5th of October, I think it was, about setting up or moving to the parliament for an organic law concerning the Essequibo state, and also setting up a political and administrative headquarters in a town close to our border. And then looking at, he wants to study the social attention plan for the Essequibo. He wants to study that, and the most egregious is to create a division within PDVSA and some of his mining companies to explore for oil or give concessions in our territory. And then he threatened companies in Guyana. We believe that this is not just not acting, as all of his assurances that he gave to these leaders. We believe that the true Maduro and his true intent emerged in the public. And a lot of the people were offended that he spoke with, because they believe he's untrustworthy. They believe he's untrustworthy. So, first of all, Venezuela has a difficult time finding food for its people. A lot of people fled there. Why would our people want his social attention plan in Essequibo? It's really ridiculous. What could he offer to the residents of Essequibo if not more hardships? People are fleeing his country because of the disastrous economic policies and that he has pursued, and the lack of democracy in that country. Who wants more of that? So clearly, he just doesn't, he probably thinks that people in Essequibo are just waiting with bated breath to have him come in here. That's his miscalculation. Secondly, this law has no basis in international law, has no bearing in international law. It's passed by a kangaroo Congress in Venezuela that you would expect them to pass anything in Venezuela. It's a kangaroo Congress that they have there. And so we're not paying any attention to his law, because it has no bearing in international law and definitely will have no respect or even attention from the government and people of Guyana. We don't accept it. It is just another one of his propaganda documents. Now, any attempt to explore for petroleum by his state oil companies or state companies in our territory will be seen as an incursion by Guyana. An incursion and an attempt to alter the situation on the ground, contrary to the ruling of the ICJ. And I want to say to the companies that he is given an ultimatum to. They should pay no regard to Maduro or his ultimatum. We will defend that territory as sovereign Guyanese territory in which they operate. They're operating legally, lawfully in this territory. When he announced these measures, when he announced the several...
There you have it, folks. Apologies. That is the vice president bringing you up to scratch, folks, with some of the issues that has happened in the last few hours, if not the last 72 hours, with the declarations coming out of Caracas. And also, folks, some of what we heard concerning concessions there. People got a couple of weeks to go. It's a lot of madness coming out from Venezuela. We got our own madness here to deal with, you know. Because some of the folks that didn't believe that Vice President Jack Dio is one of the persons that got us into this mess in the first place.
You could probably, on the maritime area, give Venezuela a channel out to the sea. So you make a slight concession in the maritime area. You could probably, on the maritime area, give Venezuela a channel out to the sea. So you make a slight concession in the maritime area. You could.
Yep. As I said, folks, there's some who believe that is the origin of the problem itself. That is the origin of the problem itself. But I don't want to dwell there tonight. I don't want to dwell there tonight in the honor of the servicemen we lost. See, I've been trying to hold back some of it. I don't want to dwell there too long tonight. I want to bring you up to speed with some of the other horrific things, you know, we're facing here as a country. Signs of the times, folks. Signs of the times. One of the other things. A schoolboy Westminster Secondary School there in Parkville, Harmony. Stabbed in his neck. Card game gone wrong. Wild West. Wild West, folks. And he is nursing a gaping wound to his neck. Hope he recovers. Hope he recovers. And as we run stabbing, this seems to be the most recent fad. As we run stabbing, Quan Williams, who was stabbed at a shop in East Berbice quarantine, at his own shop, you know, stabbed several times. After an argument ensued a couple of weeks ago, he has succumbed. Folks, these are the issues we're grappling with this evening. Just some of them, a snapshot of the day. And while some gone too soon, no doubt, while some gone too soon, want to say a special happy birthday to someone who, folks, turned 101 today. As we wrap up, I want to say happy birthday to Sybil Pyle. Sybil turned 101. An ardent viewer and listener to our program. Mother of Pamela Sana, grandmother, mother to many, grandmother, sister. Sybil turned 101 today and going strong. We want to wish her 101 more. Ring the bell one time for Sybil tonight. Yeah. Stay strong, Sybil. Stay strong. 101, good folks. 101. And our thoughts and prayers are with her tonight. Thoughts and prayers with all who we've lost. Thoughts and prayers with all Guyanese. Celebrating on one side and suffering on the other. Sorrow as well. We're going to mourn with those who mourn, and we're going to rejoice with those who rejoice, as the good book says. Folks, we want to keep bringing more valid and credible information to you guys who depend on it so much. Help us to keep going. Here is how you can do so.
Want to keep getting the best in the ring?
Let's fight!
Yes, you can help us to keep going by partnering with us through your contributions. And it's easy. Send us a daily, weekly, or monthly donation, whichever is most convenient to you. Cash App at $in-the-ring592, Zelle and PayPal in-the-ring592@gmail.com, or WhatsApp us on 627-6963 for how to contribute via MoneyGram and Western Union and for MMG payments. Want to keep getting the best in the ring?
Let's fight!
Yes, you can help us to keep going by partnering with us through your contributions. And it's easy. Send us a daily, weekly, or monthly donation, whichever is most convenient to you. Cash App at $in-the-ring592, Zelle and PayPal in-the-ring592@gmail.com, or WhatsApp us on 627-6963 for how to contribute via MoneyGram and Western Union and for MMG payments.
Thank you, folks. That's going to do it for us at this end. That's the last bell as well. Thank you, folks, for joining us all across social media and around the world. Joylyn Cook, Rosetta Barton, Yolanda Thomas, Alison Cortez, Deborah Charles, Lyndon Gill. Thanks for joining us, folks. It means a lot. You folks spending this time with us. Good to have close to 4,000 folks joining us across social media tonight. 2,000 alone joining us on YouTube, watching us live. Marcy Agar, good to see you. Densford Jeffrey, good to see you as well. Ayabo Natasha Congreves, good to see you. Deirdre Emmanuel, good to have you. Abira, it's good to see Joylyn Cook, Cherry Jeffrey, Michaela Andrew Coates, Tommy Gibbs, great to see you as well, Tommy, and all the other folks join us. Ingrid King, Marcy Agard, I see Gloria's joined us as well. Joylyn, Patricia, Mackenzie, Deirdre Emmanuel, Alexis Charmley, Richmond, thanks for joining us, folks. And that's going to do it for us at this end. Stay safe and have a great rest of the evening, folks, and pray for our country. Pray for the families of those soldiers we lost today, those who are healing and going to be on that road to recovery from this very traumatic experience. The two whose lives were spared. Pray for our country as well, folks. Thanks for joining us. That's going to do it for us. Stay safe.